Welcome to the Born Wild podcast. This space is for birth workers, parents, and families. Anyone drawn to a more honest, intuitive way of living, birthing, and growing. Here we have real conversations, learn through reflection and community, and make room to explore without judgment. Because at the end of the day, we are all born wild. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Born Wild podcast. I'm your host, Sophia Henderson, and it is February recap day. And this is Aly and Eva. Say hi.
Hello.
Hi.
They're in my living room over there. We just thought this would be better because we could actually talk to each other. And when we're sitting next to each other, it's confusing. So this is better. Hi. Welcome to my home. It's office day. Let's do updates real quick, like personal updates before we recap February. My update is my children are learning about puberty. They are 9 and 10, and we got a book, and we've been talking about all the subtle signs that puberty is starting, emotions, and their favorite was the different areas of your body that you start to get coarser hair and more hair patches. And recently my son was looking at his knuckles and noticed that maybe the hair is changing a little bit. Um, and he showed me and he was like, "Mom, I think I got the puberty." It's almost like a disease you catch or something.
Diagnosis.
Yeah, so cute. And then his friend, he was coming over for play day. He looked at his friend and then he whispered to me, "I think he's got the puberty too."
Contagious.
He's diagnosing people.
That's great.
Yeah. So, and then we had our 5-year wedding anniversary, 12 years together, and we were both sick. So that was super fun. But I think the 5-year wedding anniversary is wood. You know how they all have like paper and wood or whatever, and then it's like a deeper meaning to it.
Uh-huh.
I think this one's about like the roots and, building security and things like that. But we were 6, so we didn't do it, but we're going to buy a tree because that's the OG wood,
Oh,
right?
that's cute.
Cute. I was going to ask, did you guys give each other wood? Is that?
That was his suggestion. No. So yeah, we're going to buy a magnolia tree, one of those like tulip trees. They're so pretty.
Cool.
So
Aw.
that's the plan. What's
Yeah.
new to you guys?
You go first.
I go first. I got engaged.
Yay! The ring is still getting
It's
resized.
the ring. It's getting sized. And I'm not working nights right now, which has been very nice. I've been doing daytime postpartum support, so I'm feeling a little alive.
How long have you been doing nights for?
I've been working nights for 10 years.
I was gonna say, I can't remember a time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Does it feel like do you feel way different in your body? Did you have an adjustment period?
Not yet. I actually just feel tired still. But it's nice to be, like, awake in the morning. I do notice that I'm, like, waking up naturally around, like, 6, 6:37 instead of crashing at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like my life is the same. Just doing schoolwork online and going to prenatals. I went to Santa Cruz last weekend because we had some time off call, and that was nice. I got sunburned.
Did you go on the boardwalk? Did you go
No,
on Ryan's or anything?
no,
No. Okay.
no, that would have been fun. Just laid on the beach.
Sounds like you went with the wrong people. No.
We did go to a karaoke bar. I
Oh,
didn't sing.
You didn't sing?
No, there were some crazy performances, and we went bowling.
Did your fiancé sing?
No.
You guys just watched.
He just started singing in front of me, like, last week. We finally are at that stage.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, that's kind of it. Just the same school and birth.
You're in primary now.
Mhm.
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 It's exciting.
Very fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doing more hands-on skills.
We hosted an IV training.
Yeah.
We hosted here at my house slash office. There were 10 of us. It was really fun. The instructor, Carly, she's just so hilarious. I appreciate hilarity.
Especially with needle poking, right?
Yeah, yeah, it takes the edge off. So that was really great. And then we had a mama who requested some support and IV support for morning sickness, and you did her IV and nailed
Mhm.
it. Yeah,
Well,
it's
very
nice.
successful.
Yeah, it's nice to have skills,
Yeah.
feel like confident in them.
Yeah, definitely.
Hmm. Yeah, great. Oh, can you see my puppy dog?
Mhm.
Yeah, so last month was pretty mellow in terms of births. We had two births and they were both fairly quick. Sometimes we have months where we're like, were we ever not at a birth? Oh, wait, that was just one really long birth. But yeah, we had two births. One for a second time mama who had her first baby with me, and it was a long birth. And in her pregnancy, she was not I wouldn't say like, I don't want to put words in her mouth, like not worried about it, but wondering if there were like things she should be doing to make that not happen again. She had back labor and it was a lot. And she had talked to some pelvic floor therapists that said her pelvic floor needed some work and there were exercises she could be doing. And most of her pregnancy, she didn't do anything. And then towards the end, she was feeling like, should I be doing these things? And so I just tried to encourage her to take away what she chose to do from the outcome of the birth because there's no way to prove that it actually was the thing that made any difference at all. And to, if she chooses to do those things, just do them in like love for her body and because it feels like the right thing and she wants to. She ended up not doing anything and had a birth so quick that we couldn't make it. So I love the end of that story and specifically that she chose not to do anything because if she had done stuff, I could
You would have
imagine
thought,
her being like, well, good thing I did that week of
Yeah.
pelvic floor at the very end there.
Mhm.
Made such a difference. And instead her story is, and then I just had my baby. Yeah.
yeah.
And she had hired a doula maybe not even a week
It
before.
was like the night before or
Yeah, it
something.
was something like
I
really.
think the day before she had the baby, she
She
confirmed.
interviewed her and then confirmed.
Yeah.
She was like, I should, oh yeah, she might have been having some like cramping all day. She's like, I should probably let her know I definitely want her there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was a sweet story. She had, hired her and then was having cramping all day, was very clear in the morning that like this is it, but it was, maybe on the like tipping the scale of going into active labor. So it wasn't quite time for us to join yet. And I was like, but if we get off the phone and something shifts, call us right back. And she said her doula was on her way. And I said, okay, just let me know if anything shifts. Shortly after the doula got there, she messaged me and was like, she thinks you should come. And I was like, okay, got in my car. The dad called when I was probably, I don't know, 20 minutes out or something and was just confirming something about the birth tub, like setting it up and the temperature. And, he was kind of doing that. And I was like, okay, just call me if she like starts pushing or you have any questions or anything like that. We pull up, we get there, I'm unpacking stuff. He opens the front door and he's like, "The baby's here." And he's, got this shit grin on his face. And I was like, "Seriously?" And he's like shaking his head. We really couldn't like hear each other very well, I think. He's like shaking his head no. And I'm like, "You're joking?" And he's like shaking his head yes. And I was like, "Is the baby here?" And he's like shaking his head. He's like, "The baby's here." I'm like, "I can't tell if you're messing with me." And so I go inside and yeah, she had totally had the baby. He was trying to fill the tub and she was holding on to the doula, kind of like slow dance walking towards the tub, trying to get in the tub. And then this is like her words that she told me. She kind of like reached down in her pants and felt the baby's head and said, the baby's coming. And they thought it was like this mantra of like, the baby's coming. They were like, yes, your baby's coming. You're so strong. She was like, no, the baby's coming. And they were like, oh. And so they like pulled her pants down and saw the head was out.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe really coming. And then I guess the mom kinda just, like, launched herself on the bed on top of the doula and just like, "Ah," and, like, pushes this baby out, and dad catches the baby, so she's, like, half on the bed, half off. And then doula, it was so cute. She was like
That's some doula support right there.
it's like, "I felt like I was giving birth. We were like one." 'Cause they were literally, like, smashed together.
And then
Yeah.
the client was like, an hour late after birth, she was like, "I think I bit you at some point. I just wanna say sorry for that."
Yeah, it was so sweet, and so we got there and, waited on placenta, and placenta came and, got her comfortable and got the tub out of the way that wasn't used, but yeah, it was such a fun story. I love the progression of, should I do something? I didn't do something, to I didn't need to do anything. Birth works. Yeah, yeah, and second babies for you, right?
Yeah.
Those are
Right.
those car babies where you, like, finally realize you should get to the hospital, and then you just have your baby in the car.
Mhm.
Yes. The realization that it's happening is the baby's actually gonna be born within 10
Yeah,
minutes.
my baby is coming, head out. Yeah. Yeah, so and I think I was thinking he was messing with me because I was like, "If she starts pushing, call," and I didn't get a call, so I was
I
like,
was sitting in my car in front of their house while the
Oh,
baby was born because I was like, "Oh, they haven't said she's pushing yet. I'll just wait for Sophia to get here with all the supplies." Like, she has her doula, and I missed it.
that's funny.
yeah, and then, yeah, everything else was pretty straightforward. There were some things that came up postpartum for them, just this shift from 1 baby to 2 babies, and one thing they realized is that the dad is having trouble connecting with the baby. He is so caught up in first baby and all the household stuff and food, and so he's not getting that, like, snuggle time that you typically get when the 3 of you are just nestled in bed with your first baby. So that was nice to hear because it's something that we can prep our families for when they're expecting their second, is have a plan for your first, to where the 3 of you can then snuggle in bed and, go to grandma or go on a play date or something like that. Um, I don't know what you remember from having your second, Allie.
I remember after I had I remember more of Indy
Mm,
than
your third.
Faye, yes. Um, but I do remember when Indy was born, Nikki and Faye came back and saw Indy, and then we're kind of like Faye especially was like, "What is this? No, thanks."
Who's this
Um,
intruder?
yeah, and so they went and stayed at my parents' house for that night at least, and then came back the next day, which was really nice. Yeah.
Mhm. Oh, I think that's especially nice that first night, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
Especially when you're needing some recovery and
Yeah, to, like, come meet the baby and then go have fun and not feel yeah,
yeah.
like you
So
have to take care of all the kids.
yeah, I think just having a conversation because mom's not gonna do anything, so it's all either gonna fall on dad, and maybe that's cool, and dad can hang, but, he was expressing, I feel like my needs are, dirt level because obviously she's got all this healing to do, and the kids need what kids need, and then here I am at
Right,
the bottom. So making sure that there's at least a conversation about if he has any needs and making sure she still has the support and that the kids' needs are still met so that he, could do this more long term and not burn out.
Mhm.
right. I think
Yeah,
we forget like, older kids need to, like, get out of the house and go be active, and
Mhm.
when you have a newborn,
yeah,
especially the mom, like, can't do that, so
yeah, yeah, and what happens when he leaves the house with the first child? Is she just there alone, and is that fine? She's far enough
right.
in her healing, or is now she having to make herself meals and she's now up too much?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, so that was the big thing postpartum that they were working through. And then we had another birth, a first-time mama who also had a very quick labor, which we were all pleasantly surprised for. Even the dad, what did he say at one point? I think when she
Been
started
2
pushing.
days.
Yeah, when she started pushing, he was like, "Wait, what?" We were like, "Well, it's better to plan." for
It's
a long
better to be prepared for the long haul.
Yeah, when we showed up, he was like, "Was this a good time to call?" And we're like, "Yeah."
time.
She's
But
pushing her baby out.
initially, we were like, "Hmm," because when you got to the door first,
Yeah,
she
she answered the
answered the door.
door for me, and she's, like, greeting me, and I was like, "Are you in labor?"
You thought that, or you didn't
Yeah,
say it.
I didn't say that. Yeah. No. But I was thinking it.
Yeah.
And then she had her baby, like, 45 minutes later.
Mhm. Yeah, it was
Very hospitable during labor.
yeah.
Most women are concerned they're gonna be saying mean things.
Yeah, yeah,
She's a
she
greeter.
was great.
Yeah. She's like, "Welcome."
Yeah,
Like,
and also we're fine with people not being great.
Yes.
yeah. Um, yeah, and then so she got in the tub and her water broke and she started pushing shortly after that. She only pushed in my memory, it's like 14 minutes, something like that, like
Mhm.
short.
Wow.
That's
Yeah. So it was very quick. And yeah, do you want to speak a little bit to like baby's first moments?
Mhm. Yeah, baby came out and, she caught her own baby and was holding her, and, baby's eyes were open and looking at mom. And then she kind of forgot that she had to keep breathing. Like, she took a couple little cries, and then she's just, like, sitting there watching us all, and we're like, "No, you have to keep going."
Mhm. She'd
So then
kind
mom
of
was
like
holding her.
fade, or
Yeah,
her
yeah,
color
her
would
eyes were,
shift,
like, less
her
present.
tone would, go
Yeah,
more
not
left.
good tone. The pulse was pretty weak in the cord. Um, and mom, like, stimulated her, and she'd come back a little bit, and then she'd kind of fade again. And then after a little bit of that, then we decided to do a little bit of resuscitation, and you gave her some breaths, and then she perked right up, and she started breathing on her own, totally fine. Her APGARs were great after that. Um, and it was a very peaceful resuscitation. Like, nobody was running around, or like there wasn't any panic. And the mom stayed really calm, and she was like, "Yeah, if she needs a little help, like
Mm.
you can give her some breaths." And she wasn't shocked at all at her baby's transition, which was really sweet to see. She trusted her baby and us so much, which I think helped make it a lot more positive of an experience for everyone,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was
And
good.
and I think there were even a couple moments where I was like, "Oh, maybe you don't need anything," like, 'cause I
Mhm.
would I asked, like, "It looks like your baby might need some support. Can I help with some breaths?"
Mhm.
And, I picked her up, and then she would perk up again. I'm like, "Oh, maybe are you
Mhm.
okay?" And then
Yeah.
she would, like, fade. I'm like, "Okay, like, do you want this? Do you not?" Yeah, I stimulate her a little bit, and she'd perk up, and I was like, "You have to keep doing that. You can't breathe once. It's a forever thing now." And she
Mhm.
was like, "I don't want to."
Yeah. Just put me back in.
Yeah, yeah, put me in the room. But yeah, she did great from then on out. We did notice some things unique when we were listening to heart tones. Do you want to speak to that?
Mhm. Um, yeah, when we did our initial assessment, when we got there for labor, we listened through 2 contractions, and in between those 2 contractions, so it's usually or until it reaches 10 minutes, so we're listening for, like,
Yeah,
5 to 10
depends how
minutes.
frequent contractions are, but
Yeah.
up to
Yeah.
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. And it sounded almost like baby might have hiccups, um, but we couldn't really tell. It just wasn't a steady rhythm, and we had never heard that prenatally because 'cause we'd been listening to baby's heartbeat at every prenatal visit and never noticed anything. So I think we said something to each other about it, like, I wonder if that was hiccups or maybe something else. And then once baby was born and we were listening with the stethoscope, the irregular rhythm was still there. It was kinda like the heart would beat normally and then stop, and then beat, like, 2 times and then stop, and then beat normally again for, like, 15 or 30 seconds. So there was an arrhythmia there that we noticed up until we listened yesterday at her 2-week visit, and it wasn't there anymore.
Yeah.
Um, so that was cool, just resolved itself, but it was interesting to hear it in labor and be like, "I wonder what that is," and it was still there when
Yeah.
baby was.
And most of those things are benign. Obviously, you'd want to rule out that, all the other vitals are normal, they're oxygenating well, things like that. But it's just like the ductus isn't closing all the way, and then eventually it does. Yeah, and hers did around 2 weeks at least, maybe sooner. You speak to placenta and mama and how she
Yeah.
did.
Mhm.
That was fun.
We, noticed the signs that placenta was ready, like the separation gush and the lengthening of the cord, and it wasn't pulsing anymore, and she could feel it heavy, like, low in her vagina,
And cramping.
just something. Yeah, a
Those
lot of
are kinda like the 5 things we look for. The separation gush, cord stops pulsing, lengthens, you have cramping, you feel heaviness in your vagina. Those are
Mhm.
kind of all of our signs that placenta's ready.
She was surprised at how hard it was to push it out because,
She was mad.
yeah, she was not happy with her placenta. She was pushing really hard, and she was, doing kinda traction, herself, pulling a little bit on it, and the membranes were out and, like, some of the placenta, but, it was just wedged in there. She was just, like, exhausted from pushing also, and could yeah, she was struggling to push her placenta out. Um, and then we noticed that she was bleeding a little bit more than we'd like, and she did, pass out for a second, because she was kinda holding her breath, pushing for a long time. And then
Literally a second, and then when she woke up, she was like, "I had a nap."
yeah,
Like, "Okay."
not long. Yeah, she got some rest and then went back. And we ended up, helping her out of the tub, and we did have to cut the cord just because it was a lot to, manage keeping baby's head above the water and, helping with the placenta and, keeping
Especially
mom
when she
above
became
water.
symptomatic. Yeah,
Yeah.
because we were offering to help, but she really wanted to do it on her own. But then
Mhm.
when she, fainted, we were like, "Okay, let's just
Yeah.
cut the cord, get you out of the water. Let's just get this placenta out. All the
Yep.
signs are already there, let
Yeah.
us help you."
Mhm. So
Yeah.
then we gave baby to dad and, got her out of the water, and then you helped with some
Yeah.
more.
She
uh,
fainted again as I was trying to get her out of the water, so I just kinda
Mhm.
rested her head on the side of the tub, and then when she, came to very quickly, I was like, "Okay, just take a couple deep breaths and we're just gonna move quickly," we just laid her down on next to the tub on the floor
Yeah.
with pillows and things. Um,
Mhm.
and placenta, yeah, was, like you said, halfway out, so we just
Yeah.
kinda put the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, yeah, managed the rest of postpartum with that. We gave her an IV to help replenish her fluids and help her feel a little bit less symptomatic, and got a meal in her,
She was having a lot of uterine discomfort, though, more so than you would see with a first-time mom, but no clots, because that's something you wanna think about, is her uterus working so hard because it's filling with clots, but it
Mhm.
wasn't. And she was just having, yeah, a lot of discomfort, so that was tricky when you're, laying on the floor trying to get her comfortable
Yeah.
and also manage her uterine discomfort, doing the IV management, so we just
Mhm.
kinda hung out there for a while, an hour or
Yeah.
so.
Her dog came and laid with her, and it was cute.
Yeah.
Dad got some time with baby.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So
then we talked about getting her back to bed and all the different ways we could do that because when she would sit upright, she would be like, "I don't feel good again." And her bleeding was minimal at that point. It was just the amount she had already lost.
mhm.
Yeah. We had talked about the dad was like, "I could carry you." We were like, "We could just drag you, lay you on a
There's, like, a
blanket."
rolling office chair where, you could sit in the chair, and we'll just push you down the hall.
We're like, "Just lay on this blanket, we'll just drag you down the hall." And she was like, "No." And we're like, "Why don't you want that?" She was like, "My pride." She opted to crawl. She crawled
Yeah,
to bed and was
all by herself.
all by herself. Eventually was able to get up and go to the bathroom and, get back to bed, no problems.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And now she's having a hard time resting postpartum because she
Yeah.
wants to get up and make her own coffee and oatmeal in the morning, and, her partner is like, I keep on telling her to get back in bed. Like, I need you to yell at her. Like,
Yeah. Every
that's
time we
how I
come,
talk to her.
she's like, "I'm gonna be in trouble because he's gonna tell you I'm not resting."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's feeling it. Like, her abdomen hurts, and she's feeling sore. Luckily, her bleeding hasn't increased, but it is hard to spend weeks in bed, especially when you're a busier person and, like, getting up and moving around. So I think that's something that maybe people can think about prenatally. Like, what can I do to where I'd be happy sitting or laying down for a few weeks? Like, what are tasks or, like, visitors that I can schedule so
Yeah.
that I don't lose my mind?
Mhm. Yeah. And usually our recommendation is always to listen to your body and
Mhm.
follow its cues. But if you wanted some general guidance, it would be, the first week is in bed. All you do is get up, go to the bathroom, and back to bed, just horizontal as much as possible. Sit up to feed the baby. Let your partner change the baby while you go pee. Come back, give them the other breast, lay down, rest, eat at some point in between there. But most of your time is horizontal in bed. And then the second week, you can experiment with being more upright in bed and see how that is on your body and bottom. And then after 2 weeks, you can start exploring the rest of the house a little bit, but sometimes if you're doing a little too much in those first 2 weeks, you kind of got to push it all back, because right now she's in so much discomfort, still taking ibuprofen, which isn't usually typical
Mhm.
at 2 weeks postpartum.
Right.
Yeah. Um, yeah, so hopefully we kind of told her that and she'll rest a little more because baby isn't quite back to birth weight yet and had some slow weight gain. So we're hoping that the more she is resting and laying in bed, the more access to milk baby will have.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, sometimes if you're away from them, just they will sleep longer because they don't smell the milk. Like, I think she was saying baby was doing even like 5-hour stretches during the day but every 2 hours at night, and my guess was because you're laying next to them, and so they're waking every couple hours.
Mhm.
So, we kinda left her yesterday with the advice to feed every 2 hours around the clock, and let's weigh the baby tomorrow. We left them a scale to see if that makes a difference or if we need to do anything more.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Looks and they weighed baby this morning, and she's gained since yesterday.
Oh, I haven't seen that message yet. Good, yay, good. That's awesome news. Let's see, anything about any of our prenatal mamas, any conversations that would be good to talk about? Everyone who is reporting sleep apnea, that's kinda died down.
Yeah, always
That
all.
that was the month before, yeah. Though this was one of the mamas, and she got one of those, like, Breathe Right strips, but they're the, like, reusable magnetic ones, and she said it was game changer for her. And she wore it all during labor. She was wearing it yesterday when we came
Yeah.
to visit her. She really likes it.
Interesting.
So
Yeah.
if anybody has sleep apnea issues or their partner's telling them they do, or you have a client, look into those little magnetic strips.
Yeah, they look fun.
What else? We did some skill work on EBL. Allie, you want to talk a little bit about that? I love our skill days. I feel like they're fun.
Mhm.
Yeah, we mixed some glycerin and red food coloring and
Cocoa powder.
Yeah, what was your recipe?
cocoa powder. What was the recipe?
It was, um, a whole thing of corn syrup, like Caro corn syrup, and then some water and a tablespoon of cocoa powder, and then a couple drops of red food coloring. I don't know if I'd do the cocoa powder again.
Made it look a
It was a little
questionable.
it
Like
was
old
more
old
it
blood?
wasn't like a fresh blood. It was, yeah, like old blood.
But now I'm understanding why my floor was a little sticky after.
Yeah.
The pads are having a trouble holding.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
pretty heavy.
Yes.
Yeah, that was another thing. I feel like it didn't absorb the way blood usually does.
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It like didn't want to go in.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
But
it was fun guessing.
visually it was fine besides the color, it worked for us.
Yes. Although I feel like I part of, like, it not seeping in caused me to go like, "Oh, I think it's a little bit more because it's not."
Right.
Maybe that's not helpful since it's not absorbing the way blood does, but
Yeah.
Right. Like, if it won't even absorb, it must be a lot more.
it must be a lot since it's not going in, yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, yeah, talk a little bit about what we did with the concoction, how we tested our
Um,
skills.
yeah, so we measured well, first we kind of measured it out and put it what how much did we do at one
You're
time?
doing a quarter cup at a time?
A quarter cup at a time, and then visually kind of see what that looks like on the Chucks pad, and then
We weighed it. I'm trying to remember how many cc's a quarter cup was.
Well, so we had got out our cheat sheet because we have a little cheat sheet that says, if you're weighing Chuck's pads, here's how to calculate that. If you're visualizing blood loss in a tub, this is what it kind of looks like. And we
mhm,
wanted to make sure that our chart
see if
that we
it's
were looking
accurate.
at is
Yeah,
accurate. So we would, yeah, pour it and then we would weigh it.
interesting, and it is
Mhm.
our cheat sheet is accurate.
Yeah. I think it's probably about 60 because a
Yeah,
one
I think
cup
it
was
was
like
60.
250
Mhm.
Mhm,
and it was like more or less the right number, maybe it was like 5 off or something like that. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, we just kept going up in increments and just
adding,
watching and being like, "Okay, yes, that looks about that." And then we tested ourselves.
yes, and then we guessed.
And
Sophia had us close our eyes, and then she poured it on and had us guess how much.
and were you right?
I was correct.
I was low.
Yeah.
I think that I was trying to overcompensate because usually people guess over
Mhm.
what the actual blood loss is.
So you
But
were
way
assuming,
low.
if I think it's this and that's too high, then it
Yeah.
must be this.
Which
Yeah.
I did too. I went, like, high, and then I deducted a little bit because
I think I was also trying to think about how much blood we had left in the fake blood.
ah,
It's in the bowl.
Peter!
they were cheaters.
So basically, yeah. It's a different game when it's coming out of a bowl versus a vagina.
Yeah, and that ours were, like, even measurements versus
Yeah.
it's not.
Right, and
Body
usually
doesn't
someone
release
doesn't
it.
bleed all on just one Chuck's pad.
Yeah. We're
Right.
swapping the chalk spas or some's in the tub or
And we talked about the rhythm we wanna have at births where, obviously, if there's, like, a really big deal going on in terms of hemorrhage, you just do what you do and you'll calculate it all later, but
But
assuming
to be
everything's
calculating.
smooth, that,
Yeah,
when placenta is born, put a fresh Chucks pad underneath, hand the Chucks pad to the assisting student so that she can go calculate weight loss. But for her to like guesstimate and then test her skills, I think it's good for us to do that each time. Uh,
mhm,
and then we can do the same, when there's a moment, we could say, oh, this looks like this much. And she could tell us how accurate we are. Because I feel like the more you do that, the more you fine tune your skills.
mhm.
And we also talked about how it's not all about blood loss. You
Right, symptom if someone's symptomatic or not.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But that there's like this happy middle ground because will you guys speak to if you remember how we were talking about the risks of underestimating and the risks of overestimating blood loss?
The risk of overestimating would be that you are doing things because you think that someone has lost a lot of blood, in reality, they haven't. So, doing interventions that aren't necessary.
Mhm.
And then obviously underestimating, then you're not prepared for then if someone is losing too much blood and then becoming symptomatic and you're not prepared for that.
Mhm. Yeah, and that like fine line between ideally not waiting till somebody's symptomatic because there's just so much more recovery involved and they feel like crap, but also not wanting to jump on interventions sooner than are
Mhm.
necessary.
The happy
Uh,
balance.
and that
Or
takes prenatal care too, because you want to have these conversations with families. Some people don't want to do anything unless they really need it, and other people would rather do preventative care. So, like, what is this person wanting in terms of hemorrhage prevention? And some people are like, I don't have a preference. Whatever you ladies think is totally fine. And some people have really strong opinions
right.
on Pitocin, or they have a needle phobia, or
Mhm.
things like that.
Mhm.
So it's good to have those conversations. And then if you are doing labs, or even if you're not, but you know some sort of symptoms a woman is experiencing, or you know what her diet's been like, because everybody's body type is different and everybody's, blood volume expansion and how well they're taking care of themselves will be different. Because you could have somebody go into labor and not even really bleed enough to be considered a hemorrhage and be symptomatic. And then
Mhm.
we've seen the opposite where it is
Hiking
definitely
mama.
a hemorrhage and she feels fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's very nuanced, and,
Mhm.
so using the estimated blood loss tool in just like a layer of how to make decisions.
Right. With the other things, not solely on that.
Mhm.
Yeah, plugging it all in. It's like this puzzle piece thing we do every time we go to a birth in the moment, and you can see how having just a protocol that you do with everyone can just totally simplify things. And there's a
Yeah.
reason people choose this kind of care because they wanna be treated individually.
Right.
Mhm.
But it does make things a little more complicated for us.
I feel like it's a puzzle that we start building like the first prenatal visit. Like if someone says something, then you like put that away for later. And then like throughout all those visits, then throughout their labor and like everything you kind of stow away. And then it's like if you put these together, then you build a bigger picture.
Yeah, because we have a whole section in our chart for hemorrhage
Mhm.
management for each client, and it's almost like building a birth plan for them, but you're like,
Mhm.
"How would we manage this client's bleeding?"
Mhm.
Yeah, like, I had one person who had a huge phobia of needles, but she was symptomatic, and she was passing out, and I got permission to give her an IV when she was passing out. Because she wasn't gonna be aware of it anyways, and she needed
Mhm.
it, and she did, and I did, and she felt better.
Win-win.
Yeah, yeah. But, even giving an IV, it's a Band-Aid. It's not a fix-all for everything. It's not actually giving you more blood. It's just
No.
reducing the fluid volume
Volume.
so that you feel a little more stable. But you really do need to rest and take care of yourself. We have a hemoglobinometer that we offer to check, for anyone who is symptomatic of their blood loss, uh, usually day 3. When we come back for the milk coming in check, we'll check things so that we have a baseline. I mean, we've never had anyone who would need a blood transfusion, but obviously you would want to be looking for that if they needed to consider that. But mainly it's to have a starting point to build from and see how well the things they're doing are working. And I feel like it's eye opening for people to see how low they are. It makes them rest a little bit better.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so that is an expensive tool, but it's handy.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, Anything else you 2 wanted to talk about before we end?
I can't think of anything.
Alright.
I feel like things have been somewhat mellower
Yeah,
lately, and
yeah,
then it's picking up. I was looking at the calendar, and there's a point where we're on call for, like, 8 people at once. I'm like, we've been on call for, like, 2 at once.
yeah.
Uh,
And 8 people because it's like we
yeah,
only
some
ever
people will
have.
be 37 weeks, some people will be 42 weeks.
Yeah, because we only ever take 4 clients a month, that's where we cap it, but
Mhm.
some from 1 month can trickle in, and then some that we just went on call for,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
it's just fun to see us getting busier.
yeah. And usually when we get to that date, we aren't on call for 8 anymore because a bunch already
And
gave
more
birth.
better, maybe.
Yeah. But I like having that in the calendar because it makes you see how busy you have the potential to be
Yeah.
on that day. So if you're booking personal things, you're like, maybe I won't go to
Yeah,
the beach that
totally.
day
Yeah.
or on a long hike."
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for helping me with the February update. Thanks for listening to the Born Wild podcasts. Find us on Instagram or email bornwildpodcasts@gmail.com. If this episode supported you, please share it and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It'll help more families find us. This podcast is for education and storytelling only and is not medical or individualized health advice. And as always, stay wild.